Welcome to another episode of The Unstarving Musician. I'm Rabanzo. This is my podcast. The podcast features interviews with independent musicians, artists, and creative professionals who share their experience and expertise on recording, touring, gigs, the creative process, marketing, and much more. I also drop solo episodes in that focus on themes for my conversations, research, and off-mic interviews. It is all intended to help independent creatives better understand the marketing, business, and creative processes that empower us to do more of what we love, create work that matters. Today's episode is a conversation with Ezra Vancil. He's a return guest to the podcast. We talk about his 10 years with the same band, launching his own label, and what he's learned about sustainable music careers and systems. Before getting into that, I want to mention that Ace Frehley, founding member, guitarist of Kiss, died this month of October at 74. I know he's going to be missed. I know he was a big influence on a lot of guitar players that I grew up with, and I thought he was pretty cool when I was a kid, so rest in peace, Ace. I'm going to share a reader response from a longtime listener and reader, George Brandow. He checks out the podcast from time to time and subscribes to liner notes. George wrote or responded on why our creative projects die, where the actual issue is we commit to projects based on their potential, the dream outcome, the fantasy version where everything works perfectly and people throw roses at our feet, but we never consider the pain required to sustain them. So George says, quote, "As the old-timers say, slow and steady as she goes. As 12-step groups say, one day at a time." To which I responded, do you think it's true that a lot of creative people don't understand this? As I was writing it, and as often happens, I wonder, is this true? Are people this dense? But then I recalled that just last year I was trying to squeeze another project into my already crowded bandwidth, so yeah, it's true. And George responded, quote, "For some of us, it's our nature to constantly try to be productive and then get interested in a new project, leave one thing, start another. It's a circle between distraction and procrastination. Then we get into our heads and think, what's the point of it all? I think it's just our artistic process. But we all need to give ourselves a break, literally, downtime, away from our usually productive routine. I call them just say no days. I now put them on the calendar, just like a gig. Rest, unplug, turn it off, just be. It helps with all the madness in life. Rest, my friend, like meditation, is not easy." The liner notes edition George was responding to was, as mentioned, on why our creative projects die. Liner Notes Insider subscribers received 4 special resources, including a PDF that I called the One Thing Decision Framework, which is a systematic approach to choosing your focus when everything feels important. I'll be honest, I'm going to have to try this system myself. My strategic focus for the past 2 quarters has been on subscriber growth for this newsletter and for the podcast, but I realized after putting this last edition of Liner Notes together that I have no good buffers in place, and there are a couple of other projects I want to eventually pursue, so yeah, to be continued. You can get Liner Notes for free at unstarvingmusician.com. It's a newsletter filled with insights based on research and hundreds of conversations with creators building sustainable careers. Like I said, it's free. You can unsubscribe at any time, and you'll get info on how to become a Liner Notes Insider, giving you access to resources like the one I just mentioned, guides, templates, and more. So yes, in today's conversation, Ezra Vancil reveals the productivity frameworks he's borrowed from his marketing day job and how they kind of transformed his creative output and family dynamics. We discuss the fear as a compass approach that guides his creative decisions, why he sold his last album direct for a year before streaming it, and the revenue impact of doing so, how business systems thinking improved his relationships with band members and family, his 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. creative routine that produced a 14-month project that turned into a double album while working full-time, the house concert preparation framework that turns parties into professional events, among other things. A quick note before we dive into the conversation, Ezra also shares several business systems frameworks in the conversation: his pre-release strategy, his creative routine, his approach to house concerts. I'm going to break down the implementation steps with resources in the upcoming Liner Notes newsletter. The free edition is going to cover highlights, but Liner Notes Insider will be a complete music career as a business system framework with action steps that you can use. You can sign up at unstarvingmusician.com. There will be a link in the show notes. And also, I'll put links in the show notes for Ezra's previous appearances on the podcast, which were all great conversations. Here's me talking with Ezra Vancil.
Yeah, we are now an empty nesters out there in the woods.
What's Cozy doing? Where'd she go?
She got married.
What?
Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 18.
Oh my goodness. Is she still making music?
Yeah, we're actually about to, well, we just broke ground on our new album down at the land. And so we're finishing a new album and we'll be out playing again pretty soon.
Wait, so this is a side of this is a side of the Morning and Midnight project. Like, I guess that one's been finished, but you're
Yeah,
right doing
uh
the marketing for it now.
I'm doing the marketing for that, the double one. It's in limited release. And then Cozy is all over that album though. And so she probably should have got just a feature on the whole album, but she's on quite a few songs.
Cool. Well, maybe it's probably was a good experience to work in that capacity and be recorded that way for her.
Oh yeah, she's grown so much as a musician.
That's cool. What about her husband? Is he in on the action too?
He he has sat in with us a few times. He's a pretty like I would say savant kind of musician. He's like incredible. He can just pick up anything. We haven't, it's kind of complicated to bring a young married couple into a band because it's already tense, when we're playing and so we've kind of tiptoed around and we've brought him in on a few shows and it's all up to him if he wants to jump in full-fledged.
Kind of
You know,
tense.
yeah, well, I mean, already it's tense just getting ready for shows and playing. And me and Cozy have developed a relationship where we can be tense and be okay. But you throw a new person in there and it might be too much.
So I've never seen you play and obviously never worked with you. Are you like kind of intense when you're doing all that, or is it just the nature of like being nervous and wanting things to go just right? Or
Oh wow. Yeah. In fact, so we kind of had like um about 2 years into Cozy and a Flounder, I guess you call it like a come to Jesus with me because um I am very intense. Like I'm the most laid back guy, but if during rehearsal and getting ready for shows, I'm just serious and I'm business. And Cozy like confronted me. It was like, I'm not doing this anymore unless you got to change the way you're treating me. And it was really good for me because I realized that I don't in that relationship and music relationship, I don't have a lot of empathy or I'm not very nice. And it really changed how I'm more thoughtful now because I have to be with Cozy and it's made me that way with everybody I work with now. And it wasn't like intentionally, it's just I'm just all business and I've she's kind of brought this relational thing into our band, which has really been neat for me. It helps me relax a lot more and let things happen and not worry so much if it's not working out exactly how I want it. And so I can be pretty tense. I think I probably have some relationships back in the past in bands that I've been too hard on people.
I was thinking about it because as soon as I don't know what you said. Just it's already tense, I think you said. And I was thinking of, I've been fronting a band and then I was playing drums in another one that I just stopped working with out of frustration, honestly. But
Mm.
yeah, I was thinking to myself suddenly, like, yeah, but I'm kind of intense. I mean, well, I am. But the weird thing is with this new thing I'm fronting, it's a little weird. It's a little forgiving in a weird way. But the guys are that I'm working with are so agreeable.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's not good, but
Right.
um, and I do tell them from time to time, like I want your opinion. Um, but they're I don't I guess it's cultural, but it may be a little bit personality as well. Just happen to have a one of them's very young. They're all younger than me. One of them's very young, so he's just kind of finding his way and who he is. And the guitar player's like he plays a lot and he's a very accomplished musician, and but he's just kind of easygoing, you know. He's got
Hmm.
his own way of pushing back without even without you don't even realize that's what he's doing until
That's
after
what
the
he's doing.
fact.
Right.
And the drummer's just like, "Yeah, man, as you wish." That's a very common thing I hear from them. As
Oh,
you
yeah.
wish.
Yeah, that would be hard for me. I think I kind of thrive in the tension, and the people that have stayed with me actually enjoy it because, like I said, I don't. I hope I'm not mean tense, but the tension of things to me uh, brings out the importance of what we're doing. In the same way that you just said, I want to hear people their opinion. I want someone to challenge if an idea isn't good. It's the same way as business. I really appreciate people that are have the courage to like challenge ideas. Uh, I mean, I really appreciate that, like in business, because I'm not always right. And if you're fronting a band, they're in the past I've had people that are just kind of sit back, but what happens is they get hurt or dissatisfied, and I have no idea, because nothing was ever said. So I'd rather it all kind of just come out in the mess and let's work on it. And so I think I kind of thrive on it. I've just matured a little bit where I can kind of sense when I've gone over the top and need to create space for someone to speak.
Mm, that's interesting. Well, and I imagine that the ones who have stayed with you, you said that they enjoy the end result, so they're totally fine with, generally fine with the way things work.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially like if my videos, if you look at them over the years, over a decade, it's or more, it's about the same people
Hmm.
involved. And those people just enjoy what we do. And it's intense because we're trying to make a video in like 8 hours. And there is some kind of joy in that because you do feel like it's important. It like puts a flagpole in that part of your life. Like, wow, I can't believe we did that. And it just makes, I don't know, to me, I don't know how I would create without some tension in there.
Yeah, I think it also just part of trying to get things right, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And trying to get visions aligned, it takes a little of breaking down that outer shell that everybody has in the world, and in music, that outer shell has to be broken down because you're like in this strange kind of intimate relationship with these people of creating something together. And you can't do it with the persona that you walk around in the world with. It's your real self has to kind of come out, I think.
Yeah. So you're the single that I contacted you about, Baby Love.
Hmm.
Has it been weeks since you made it
Yeah, October
available?
1st.
Okay. Well, that's that recent. I think, I was searching through emails. October 1st, you said?
Yes.
But when did you send an email out? Like, did you send like a pre-release email?
Yeah, I did a whole big pre-release just to my mailing list. And I think that was the end of maybe the beginning of September or maybe the end of August.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of emails going out for a little while there.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one that caught my attention. It's a great song, and the album sounds really nice. It's kind of got some new stylistic sort of textures on it, I think for you, based on what I know
Mhm.
about your work.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of a dream album. And I just when you're making a double album, it's like let's just go to town and do all the things I've always wanted to do. And so it kind of has the kitchen sink in there.
Yeah, that's cool. And what approximately how long did it take to do it?
It took, it was a one, almost just a full year of recording to do it. And I think it was wrapped totally in about 14 months. So that's how long it took to record it. The writing of it, that's, that's a little more complicated because the two sides, Midnight is made up of songs that were at least started during the divorce period of me and my wife. We went through a divorce. we're together now, Hallie.
You and Hallie divorced and you're together.
Yeah, yeah, we
Okay.
had the papers on the court docket. They just and we separated, and we just never signed the papers, and we ended up just getting back together.
I did not know all this. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Lots of things can happen between conversations. Huh?
Right. Yeah. Well, this happened before. This was probably 10 years ago, I think, was the divorce.
Oh,
So I
okay.
probably just didn't talk about it. I probably was still like wounded from from it at the time. I didn't want to talk about it.
Well, we didn't. Well, yeah, could be. We talked for the first time around 2018.
Yeah, it was before that. It was a few
Hmm.
years before that.
So possibly it was parts of it were fresh. I don't know. For you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a long, like we were separated for a year. And then I would say it took us 2 or 3 years to get where we were just comfortable again in our marriage. Um, just so we probably, yeah, we're not talking about it too much at that time.
So many of the songs for the Midnight part of the doubles album that comes from that period.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I had just finished an album and I was looking for my next project and I found a hard drive with these like partially started songs and they were all kind of written during that period of that divorce. And I was like, man, I need to do something with these. And those became, for the most part, Midnight. And uh, and then Morning happened. I didn't mean to make a double album, but while I started finishing those songs, I just started getting all these new songs that were more about this period now in my life. And so Mid Morning is songs that are more about right now. And then so it's kind of midnight. It's my wordplay on it, morning and midnight is because back then I used to write. I was a night person and I would do all my music at night. And I switched over some period, well, probably when I started a real job, into doing all my music before work. And I get up real early and I have about 2 or 3 hours before work. And so they have kind of different plays with the words morning and midnight. One of them is that it truly is these songs were written in the middle of the night and these songs were written early in the morning.
So what is your schedule like? You get up at and you go to bed at.
During the album, it's kind of changed since I got off finished with that. It was get up at 5 and then I would work on music until about 8:30, well, 8-ish, and then that's when the phone calls started for work. And then I might have after work, I might have an hour after work where I would polish up some of the music I was working on that morning. Now I'm kind of a 6 a.m. guy and I get a couple of hours of rehearsal and writing, and then eight or nine work starts.
Do you work from home mostly?
Yeah, mostly. I do go into an office every once in a while, but most of the time I'm on a laptop.
At 5 a.m. makes me think of, I don't remember if it was the first or second conversation we had. You were talking about how somebody told you needed to work on your guitar a little bit. And so you started getting up at like 5 a.m., if I remember correctly, and just started
Yeah.
doing some, I don't know what scales or runs, like some practice
Right.
routine stuff.
Yeah, that was me trying to change from just a strumming songwriter, because all I did was just basically strum my guitar. I had one picking pattern to I wanted to be more of a picker. And
Hmm.
so that's what I did. I only, I would wake up and it wasn't long. It was maybe like 15 minutes before work. I would practice my different picking patterns. And I would do that every morning before I got ready for work.
It's like old
And it,
times.
yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's morning is this is something me and Cozy talk about a lot because creative, she's also a painter, and we've discussed a lot the different kinds of energy there is in your writing and your art in the morning opposed to night.
Hmm.
And there really is something different, like a freshness in the morning that I feel opposed to at night. I can work just as much in either one, but there's kind of a different kind of art and music that comes out of the morning.
I can see that. This is probably anecdotal mostly, but like I've heard people who just like they do their most creative, or like if they're writers, they do their best writing at night, like in the wee hours.
Mhm.
But some people are just sort of wired for mornings versus late hours. So this is such an old person question, but what time do you go to? Okay, so you get up at 6 a.m. now, and you work. What time do you go to bed in the evenings?
I am asleep by 10 every
Mm.
night. I go to bed at 9, but I usually like read a bit or watch something with my wife. But I'm asleep by 10 o'clock every night.
It's about like me.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure
You want to know when I eat dinner? I eat dinner at 5 pretty much every day.
you
Just
know
so
we we probably would. Yeah, I know it's like trying to eat earlier just so you can sleep well, but
yeah,
it's kind of funny in the Mexican culture too because they culturally, it's like the biggest meal of the day is anywhere between 1 and 3 o'clock, which is kind of their lunch, and one's early. And then they'll have a smaller meal like 8 p.m. or later.
yeah.
And I'm like, I want to eat like a Mexican, but
Right.
but
I do too.
now we usually eat early too. It's pretty funny. I laugh every time we talk about getting together with someone. It's like, what time do you eat? And I start laughing. I'm like the old people
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. My kids joke that I get the senior discount because I'm like ready to eat at 5, like right after work, 5 o'clock. So,
That's funny. That's too funny. Tell me about the photo for the album artwork.
so the actual artwork on the cover is drawings that I did while I was making this album. And that is all over my website. Just I I went into something that I loved when I was young, which is just pencil art.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like a relaxation thing I did after work. And so I created all these, they're very large drawings of the forest creatures, basically, with my soul man, which is like my logo, and created a bunch of these. And so a couple of them became the artwork, but they're all hand drawn, pencil and ink kind of things.
Cool. I'm gonna go back and look at it. And that artwork is on your website, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can see that on the cover of the albums, and it's also just decorates my website.
I was noticing and remembering what an A-class job you do in terms of the marketing and branding and the presentation. I think it hit me when I was looking at the merch page for the new albums, the double album,
Mm.
and all the stuff you had offered, and just I don't know how clean everything looks. And I started thinking back on we've talked about it before. Maybe we'll make time to talk about it again today. But I remember how much you put into this, and because you have done as a day job, as you say, you work in marketing. It all looks great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, when I was younger, I was a graphic designer.
Hmm.
So I just kind of carried that skill with me. And nowadays, I don't really do design very much.
What a
Uh,
nice skill to have
yeah,
had because it gives you a different eye, and you can do it if you need to.
absolutely. I mean, I'm very grateful for my training in that. And I think that's something, what's funny is my early job was I was a graphic designer for a college, and I utilized everything I learned. I would, well, so you could, I might be able to present something we could do. Like I wanted to at some point start doing web design for them. This was like early when, and so I wanted to learn that. They would pay me to train, and then I would use that for my music. And then I talked them into buying a video camera, and I started making commercials for them. But I did that so I could learn video and editing to use in my music. And all these things, they don't know it that they were all driven by what I wanted to learn to to use in my music career. And it helped them too. So, we were scratching each other's backs. Yeah, but the graphic design has really helped me over the years, just understanding the programs and how to do it.
Yeah, and probably just having well, a designer's eye and sensibility.
Hmm.
These days in the company, you have your own still, or do you guys work for
I
someone?
am I'm partnered with another company,
Okay.
and so I do run a department now. So, but I'm not on my own anymore.
Okay. So you're kind of managing some folks.
Yeah, yeah, I have an artist under me and SEO and mostly management is what I do.
Do you guys have like a broad spectrum of clients, or do you specialize in something in particular?
We specialize. I don't like to share it too much. I don't know. Is this live?
Yeah. Yeah, we started. We're doing it, man.
Okay. I didn't know if we're just having a conversation. I like to keep a little like like a mystery, no, but a little personal data safe from the internet as far as where I work. Mainly because I don't know if you've ever had this, but I've had some weird people show up at my door. And so I don't do a good job of like separating my personal life from the internet world, but I kind of try to do it. So I don't talk about where I work very often.
Is that because of the people showing up? Was that because of music or because of work or
It was
both?
mu it was music and them knowing where I worked.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I've had it twice now. I've had people show up that were um I mean, I guess you'd call them stalkers of some sort. And it was a little freaky, to be
Mm.
honest. One of them showed up in front of my house and nothing bad happened, but it scared me and my family a little bit just to know that somebody can know everywhere you are, you know?
It's so much easier today.
Yeah. And back then I wasn't even thinking of it. I did, you know, I talked about work and everything and it made me just kind of think twice about how much I share, you know, and that out on the world in the world.
Yeah. That's why I live out of the country.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
I do occasionally think like, well, I know it's not that hard, but just the extra layer would, if anyone was ever going to do that to me, it just gets a little bit more difficult. If assuming it's someone from the States.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
But
think that's what it is that, you know, if you share everything, and especially if you know, I was living in Dallas, then it's really not hard to, you know, drive down the road to somebody's house, you know, or find
mm,
out where that is.
yeah, totally. Well, the reason I was asking was, I mean, I know from past conversations and even what we're talking about now, like the things that lend themselves directly to helping you do what you do with music. And so I guess I
Mhm.
was trying to figure out like, are there things that you're doing now that still you still like that you've sorry things that you do now that you feel still lend themselves to that aspect of like promoting the records or like doing visuals, or whatever it may be, this sort of marketing element? Or are they
Yeah.
things that you have amassed in the past and you just like reapplying those and like just thinking of new ideas?
I mean, man, I have learned so much. So I can't say that I'm partnered in a business. So I help run a business. And I have learned so much in the last 3 years that helps my music career that it's just mind-boggling how much I wish I knew all this growing up. And it mostly has to do with systems and processes. And
Yeah, that's a big one.
yeah, and just how underutilized that just that kind of mindset is, where it's made my life. Uh, for instance, to make this that year, I guess it was 2024, I made this double album. I wrote a book. I did all this artwork. At the same time, I was working, you know, 50, 60 hours a week at work. Both of my kids got married. And somehow I made this double album and uh and wrote the book. And the only way I could have done that is that everything is systematized. There's even in my day, like getting productivity skills and just thinking about my life more like a business of the flow of energy and of communication. I mean, it just goes on and on how much it's helped me in my life just become uh, allow a space in my life that for art to live where I'm just not freaking out and my head's on fire every day, which it was up until I was 45 probably.
Wow. Well, and I want to say, from what I do know about you, that that is maybe somewhat personality trait driven, but you sounds like you've learned some things to help manage that as much as you have just learned about utilizing systems.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, our last conversation was, I think, about like bipolar and stuff. Yeah, I've changed a lot since my thoughts on all that since the coronavirus years, and mainly of just being more honest about it. What I found is that what they called bipolar is more, for me, I see it now as a marketing label for them to sell their products to you. And in reality, for me, what I've found is that it is a personality. It's somebody, I'm very high energy. And I was very immature in my life in managing my own personality, my own energy, my own life, my own spirit, my own soul. And so now there is this thing of just understanding myself a lot more, and that I have to manage my life and the way that I live, my health, or else it's going to be chaos. And so
Hmm.
it's I guess it's just something too of just getting a little bit older and saying I just don't want to live like this anymore. And so I've got to get a handle you know, on how my life is run and have a hand in that instead of just letting it just go, which is probably what I did for most of my life.
Yeah, I wonder, I'm just sort of thinking about our conversation. Maybe it was our last one where we talked about sort of mental well-being and all, and as it relates to this. And it strikes me that that what you just told me was maybe just starting to come into focus for you. That you had been thinking
Yeah.
about it. You were starting to do little things
Yeah.
possibly at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I can be real honest, at that time, I was involved with trying to help other people, that were dealing with this. And what I found was not that I didn't see that real true help was going to come from the path that I had gone on, which is the medical path, pharmaceutical path. And and not to say, everybody needs to do whatever they think is best, but I found for myself that I just needed like a whole makeover of the way that I saw myself in the world, and that I needed to take some responsibility for my life. And I think that was kind of all coming into focus around that time. And I had a big change just in how I manage my life.
Probably took a little while to sort of articulate it internally, it sounds like, and now you actually articulate it quite well out
Yeah,
externally.
absolutely. And it's such a sensitive thing, and I really do empathize and feel a lot of heartfelt sympathy for people that deal with this. Like, I mean, in the depths of my soul, I feel it. But at the same time, I kind of had to come to terms with uh, finding my own way to speak about it. Uh, and yeah, I think it has taken some years just to kind of understand you know, my own thoughts about it.
Is there any? I touch on mental health, mental well-being with various people in writing for the whole unstarving musician thing, and
Hmm.
I've had some challenges of my own in the past, but yeah, I would mine are pretty minor, I think. But if you had strategies you'd share with anyone who's struggling with something similar, yeah, is there any?
Do you know probably the biggest and most obvious, which some people might go, yeah, of course, but the mixing of alcohol and drugs within these kind of mental health problems is like just drinking poison, I believe. It can cause just such for me personally, it was in a lot of ways the solution to all those things, but at the same way, over time, it never allowed me to have my feet underneath me for long enough to really start doing something about all this. So it's a little bit like having a place that I could retreat to at all times instead of facing what I needed to face. Because and I've talked about that a lot. I had a major alcohol and drug problem, not so much drugs, but mainly alcohol. But when I could retreat to that solution, I never had, we talked about tension. I never had the tension that actually changes you. Like, I've got to do something about this and I've got nothing to lean on. That to me was a start. And it's probably the biggest thing is I find, meet somebody that's going through this and I find that they're, smoking quite a bit of pot or relaxing with or fixing their problems with some alcohol, whether it's a lot or a little. It's almost like, at least for this time in your life, you got to face this stark sober, you know. Otherwise, I don't know how much change is going to happen. So that's probably my biggest thing that I run into when talking to people.
Mm.
It's kind of hard to hit a tactic or something because there's so many different things we could, I don't even know who I'm talking to. There's so many different things that people deal with, so it's hard to say
Yeah,
this and that.
maybe it's worth saying like everybody's situation is extremely unique and
It's very true.
yeah.
I had another thing that was just really good, and it still is in my life, is that I have people in my life who have struggled with the same things. In fact, I would say I've made it kind of a practice if I'm struggling with something to find somebody, that has struggled with it or that is, uh, especially somebody that struggled with it, but they're in a place that I would like to be, and them mentoring me. And I've
Hmm.
had quite a few mentors. Right now, I have a group of men that just meet once a week. That we all deal with the same things, and that to me is just having this real life kind of feedback, you know, and allowing that person to have feedback. Like, I allow them a little levity and the truth they can tell me because they're there for a reason to help me see myself and see the things that I'm constantly bumping up against. And so mentorship, however you call that, friendship, it can be that way, but sometimes if it's an official kind of, I need somebody, you know, to really be honest with me. And I might not like it, might not agree, but at least, we're trying to do this relationship of somebody looking at my problems besides me, and just telling me what they see.
Yeah, I could see that would be great, and that's sort of, I suppose, wonderful sort of general tip to share with people. And I know that Backline, man, I forget their domain, but I bet you backline.org is one of them, has like mental health resources for creative people and musicians very specifically. But are there places that people can go looking for groups like the one you mentioned if they were interested?
Well, once again, it probably depends a lot with what they're dealing with, because I think
Right.
it should be really specific
Mm-hmm.
to what they're dealing with. Like, of course, like if drugs or alcohol are involved, there's 12-step programs. There's like a ton of those.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are really great because it's not this. I'm a kind of a rebel, so I have a problem with the idea of the teacher and I'm the pupil. But finding ones I think with kind of a lateral group,
Mm-hmm.
where it's not anybody telling you what to do, but you're just there sharing your experience. They're sharing theirs, and you're learning from each other's stories. So that's a big one. Is that 12 step? There's one my friend. Oh my goodness, it's skipping my mind though. It's called Celebrate Recovery,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know much about it, but I do know a few people, and it's for all kinds of issues too, that have gone through that program and are doing really well. And so that's another one that I've just heard of. I don't really know it much about it, to be honest. I've just seen it work in people's lives, but that's like a group type thing too.
Well, I guess a good thing if to consider is just seek. a group and think about what your specific situation is and see if that can take you somewhere. And like I said, I know I've had a couple of different musicians and have read a lot about Backline. They seem to be a pretty good resource for just sort of
Mhm.
helping you get your bearings, figure out what you could or should be doing to try and get some help. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. One of the last times we talked, you were working on building a studio. I think the last time we talked.
Yeah.
Did you do it?
I t- yeah, everything's a story. I started, we got some land that had some old, really old cabins, like, you know, falling apart kind of, and we started re fixing them, and we still are fixing them. And one of them uh, became my studio, and I turned it into a studio. I made my last album in this, most of this album in there. But what happened is me and my wife needed a place to live, and so it's now turned into my house. And so it's now a house with my gear all over the place. My wife can't stand it, but so I don't really have a functional studio anymore. I did for about a year, and it was really, really nice. And I'm kind of hoping to get back to that someday.
Got to rehab another cabin.
Yeah, I have a lot of work to do.
So are you like did you have to get much help with that, or do you have sort of those type of inherent skills for rehabilitating
I've
buildings,
got them.
houses?
Yeah, not by choice, but my dad well, he was in construction and carpentry and painting. He was a painter growing up. Uh, and I worked with him until I was in my 20s, and then I got a job as at a college again, as a maintenance guy where we did carpentry and stuff. So I picked up a lot of skills. I have built I've built additions to this house here in Oak Cliff, and I've got the skills to do it. Now, whether I'm that good, I don't think I'm I'm that great, but I can get it done.
It's cool. It's a nice skill to have.
Yeah, it's very handy, just I'm always it's strange like at this time in my life because I've had, as a musician, a lot of people, that are musicians go through a lot of jobs, and I've had my fair share. I mean, I don't even know how many jobs I've had, and they're in different, marketing and construction and video, and they've all kind of came together in my 40s to and are very useful to me. I hated all those jobs, but now I'm like, man, I'm so glad I learned all of this. I did roofing, I did work for an electrician, I did all this stuff, and now I have just enough to, if I want to do a little project, I can do it.
That's cool. And even better if and when you need help, you know what how it's supposed to be done. So
Yeah.
going back to your album, you were gonna release. You're doing a monthly singles release strategy. How are you just one single into it so far?
Yes, that was the Baby Love was the first single, went out on October 1st, and there's another one on November 7th. I
Are
say
you
a
allowed?
month.
Wait, oh, November 7th. Are you allowed to tell me on the podcast which one, what that song's gonna be?
Yeah, it's called Island, and it's
Okay,
off the morning side. I'm gonna try to flip it like one from the midnight, one from the morning,
okay,
each
cool.
release.
That's
And
cool.
that one's called Island, and it's got a music video with it also.
And that's not out yet, right? That the video.
No, that'll all launch on November 7th. Last year, I tried to experiment, or I say last year, this was 24. While I was doing this album, I instead of releasing, I had an album called We Were Wild,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all complete. And I was just so tired of dropping stuff and the big disappointment, you know.
Now, did you drop that one all at once or by singles?
No, so I didn't drop that one at all until I had a year of selling it.
Okay.
And it actually, to better than I've done in many years, it actually worked. So I sold quite a few copies before I released it. And I did it through just limited release. Um, and you get the download and stream it in the app, but I did not put it on streaming until about a year of selling the album. And so I'm kind of doing a mixture on this album. I'm gonna, since it's so big, I can kind of release some streaming and still have it in limited release for a long time.
I was laughing. Even Led Zeppelin is doing this streaming strategy nowadays. They released a some new versions of, I guess, previously unofficial release live recordings for just four songs, so an EP, but they dripped them out. I was like, oh, look at
Mhm. Yep.
that.
It, I really think it's the way to go. You know, for the most part, especially, I mean, I guess it depends on how much, if you have a label behind you and money,
Mm, hmm.
but if you're just one dude like me, how do you promote and make videos and artwork? Well, especially for a double album, for 20 songs, what's going to happen is you're going to run out of steam about 3 songs in, and then the rest of them are just going to languish in in the great void of Spotify. And
Yeah, and I
so,
think we talked about this before that like a video to support a song is huge when it's done right.
yeah, yeah, I hear all this, everybody's different opinions on it, but for me, it kind of, um, it's kind of the linchpin in your release strategy because it's not that it's going to do great. Like, I don't believe my music videos are going to do great, but they kind of give people something to hold on to during the release. Kind of tells a story too of what your visuals are about, what you're about when they're looking at it, and I think it's just real important. You also get a lot of imagery from it. You get some behind the scenes footage you can use, and it just gives you all this material. Otherwise, you wouldn't have. You just have to make it.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. All that extras, the cutting room floor things that can become behind the scenes things.
Yeah. And you can also drip your videos. I did that last year where I had videos for this album is the We Were Wild one, but I didn't release those either. And they're like little hooks, to bring people in. Is even after it started releasing, I could still bring them in to watch a private preview of the music video.
Oh,
And
that's
so
cool.
if I can hold stuff back, it gives me some leverage for somebody to actually want to sign up, because otherwise there's just not a lot of pull to do that when you can just go listen to the whole thing,
And forget about it.
and forget about it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you did one of these for you did this very thing with Baby Love, didn't you? Where you had like a release view, not party might not be the right word, but you had like a live release, right, for the video?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I did. I did it actually more than that. I did an entire 10 days straight of live video and a backstage area that you could get access to and see all of the videos I have now. So it had in total probably like, well, 10 videos that aren't going out into the public for a long time.
Oh, wow.
Plus, I did a live hangout every night.
And those were those for people on your email list or for a smaller group of people?
Yes, it was email list. I did do some posts, to let people know, my subscribe that this was going to be exclusive to my subscribers.
That's so cool.
But it was just for my email list, and it was for one thing to get everybody excited, but also just to kind of build a little more relationship with my email list. And it was really neat. It turned out um, to be a really, and I would say I enjoyed it maybe more than everybody else. I just enjoyed having people there. There was a chat. We chatted and talking about stuff other than music, just people talk.
That's cool. There's a guy I've had on the podcast maybe three times, Eli Lev. He's a folk singer, songwriter, and he did a recent live release, and I was checking out a little bit of it today. So he had maybe you did something similar, but he had a very small live audience, but the camera was just on him, but there were definitely people there, and it was also a live video. So I think they had um, like chat stuff going. Uh, I think. But anyway, it looked cool, and I somehow missed yours, but I'll watch and see if you do it some more. Just to
Yeah.
kind of, it's really fun for I don't know how many musicians you probably do have a lot of musicians that follow you, but it's really fun to see that stuff too, just to see like how you're doing as much as you know you can tell from just watching it the end products, but and the way you're doing releases and to see the quality of certain aspects of it. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's the way forward is whether we like it or not, is that music is it's it doesn't have the value that it used to have. And so it's really kind of bringing people into your world and into a certain type of relationship at least. Uh, and I don't think there's any better way to do it than live, unscripted. Either music. I think a concert's great live too, but even just hopping on and doing hangouts and stuff, I'm sold.
That's cool. I'm glad to hear that because I've been thinking about doing it for so long, and yeah, I really have all the tools I need. I mean, I don't have like a great camera or anything, but I have everything I need to do it, and platform wise and all that, and plenty of content. This isn't even for music either. It's just for like things around the podcast and the newsletter. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that it's working well or that it seems so promising.
Yeah, yeah, I learned a lot from it, and I definitely will be doing it in the future. I think it created some real like people that liked my music. It created what they used to call super fans. I don't know if that's still a term,
Sure. Yeah.
but people that now, before maybe I would see a comment from them, but now I get an email, from different fans that are listening to a song with a picture of something that was talked about at the hangout or something. And so it's created this kind of deeper relationship with people that I don't think anything before that had done that except these live hangouts.
That's cool. Are you doing you so the video was on YouTube live, right?
Yeah, and in fact, I don't I need to go look. I think some of them just reposted live up there, so you might be able to go to my YouTube and still see some of the hangouts.
Oh, well, I was going to ask, were they all done on YouTube or did you do it on did you use some
Oh,
other platform for parts
I
of it?
use yeah, I use StreamYard,
Okay.
and it's pretty cool for its simplicity. I probably wouldn't use it again because it's maybe too simple. Uh, but for what I was doing, it's really easy to set it up and schedule it. And
What
there's
is
a
it that
few.
StreamYard did for you?
So this is how I understand it because I was brand new to this too. So I have streaming. What is the big one that everybody uses that's an app?
Is it for multi-channel streaming? I,
Yes.
um, I'm forgetting. It's like an open source app,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I forget the name too. I had it and I think I took it off, but because I wasn't using it. But I think people still use it.
Yeah, it's huge. And I have it here, but I can't remember the name of it. But so I started using that, but because I'm out in the forest and my internet is just quite horrid, uh, I just researched and found that I should do browser streaming because that streams from my hard drive and or
Meaning
it
that
actually
meaning that it buffers on your hard drive too.
yeah, so the stream whatever, see, I don't know the technical terms, but whatever the streaming mechanism was, it was going to be pulling it from my laptop where StreamYard is streaming from the browser from
Okay.
um, it's kind of doing the hard work of the streaming. That's how I understood it. And there was an incredible lag. Like I actually could not like chat with people because my lag was probably like 5 minutes because of my internet was not great.
Wow.
But that's why I went with that. I don't know if that's true. That's just the research I did before I jumped on.
But so StreamYard helped with that problem and just made it
Yeah,
work. That's
it
cool.
it amazingly worked because I was amazed that with my internet is not good out there that I could actually do it.
Because I mean, I guess one could just go, oh, but I guess you're trying to do a high quality audio thing. But I was gonna say like one could just go YouTube Live or go on Twitch or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess they're only you right because you're playing music on some of these or
Yeah.
almost all. Okay, yeah, that
Well,
sort of adds another layer.
yeah, there's there was another problem is I wanted to stream to several places, to Facebook, to YouTube, and to I had a back end platform that I was streaming to.
Okay.
And StreamYard does that too really
Okay.
well. So I could like send it multiple places.
Yep.
Now, the audio, this is I learned this after the stream because the audio is quite terrible. Um, and what I found out is you either have to have a super high bandwidth for good audio, but what most people do is they're uh, recording the stream and then they're recording the audio separately. And what happens as soon as you finish the stream, you can sync up that audio and then they have a pristine audio copy with anybody that reviews the stream.
Okay.
And I think most people do that that don't have, super high bandwidth.
Good to know. Good to
Hmm.
know. Well, that's cool though. I'm glad that, and I guess I've always thought, well, I'm just going to pick a channel and go with that channel. I don't like the hassle of having to go to multiple places, and they're not all created equal either in terms of how good that they render this stuff, I would imagine. But
Yeah.
that's awesome that you found it. So, and it's kind of this is somewhat new for you, right? Or it's not something you've been doing the past two or three albums, is it?
No,
Mm,
no, I haven't done any streaming except maybe way back, 8 years, six, seven, when streaming first became a thing, I like tried some of it, but that was it. And so I haven't done anything like it.
well, that's cool. I'm gonna check some of the see if I can find some of the old stuff, but I can definitely just keep my eyes open for the new stuff since I'm on your email list. And so you and Cozy are already working on. Does she spell her name with an I or a Y?
And I,
You two are work.
C-O-Z-I,
What's that?
C-O-Z-I.
Yeah, yeah. So you're already working on a new album.
Yes, we're working on our third
What?
album. Yeah,
Did I
we
miss
have
one?
well, it's one of those things. I don't even know how to. So, what our second album never really got released,
Okay.
and I'm gonna blame it on her getting married because it was finished. We released one song. We made a music video. It's called Bobby Zimmerman. You can go find it on Spotify or YouTube with a music video. And then the whole project just fell apart because she started thinking about getting married. And and so it just fell apart. And I didn't release the album because it's so good that I just can't do it justice without Cozy, helping me promote it. And so she's back. That's all I can say.
So maybe that one will see the light of day.
Yeah. In fact, I think we're going to use it to kind of hype our audience back up and slowly leak that out too to streaming and do some videos for it for that second album so that by the time we get the third one done that we'll have our kind of an audience there to hear it.
Wow. How? What do you suspect your timeline is for the third album?
We're trying to get everything done and have it releasing by next June.
Okay.
So we're going to be, yeah, working on it real heavy this part of the year and the early part of next year.
Cool. I like it. That's great.
Yeah.
It's kind of maybe could turn out to be fortuitous that you kept that second one in the can.
I think it actually is going to be a really good kind of re wake everybody back up because everybody was very excited with Cozy and the Flounder, and then we just disappeared. And so I got to go like, hey, we're still here. Here's that album that I said I was going to release that we never did.
Cozy getting married, dang it.
I know, just threw a
That's
wrench in everything.
that's funny. You started Near Home Records. Tell me if I got this right, the details right.
Mhm.
You started it, was part of, I don't know if it was the beginning, but it's part of creating some separation between the art and the business sides of
Mhm.
your music. And it is your record label, right?
Yes.
So how long's it been going?
I think it started in like 2016 for my live album.
Okay. It's been a
Think.
while.
Yeah. So it's been going a while, and I have three artists on it. I have
I
me,
didn't know that.
Cozy and a Flounder, and my little brother Isaac is on Near Home.
Cool. A family label.
It's a family label, yeah. And in
Is
fact, we're finishing an album for my mom, who's in her oh gosh, how old is she? 70s. And we're finishing an album, and she'll be on Near Home.
she's doing an album?
Hmm.
Wow.
I
That's
know.
pretty
It's
awesome.
a family business here.
That's crazy. Do you think you'll ever have uh, artists outside the family on it?
That was really the hope. Um, I wanted to create something that was more of a project of, and I did it kind of started doing this, and then just the busyness of life, it fell apart. But I wanted to do, the like the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Hmm.
I I felt so when I got, kind of got my life together in my 40s. My everything before that was an incredible struggle to just get anything in music done, and especially to do any kind of dream album. I was like recording in my closet. I just didn't have any money, and I had this idea that Near Home would be kind of a grant type thing that we would help people make their dream album. And I did it for a few, like I didn't help them make an album, but I did a few local artists that I knew of personally that were just really dedicated artists, but were having a hard time financing their projects. And so I did that with them for a few people, and I did it with a partner. And I hoped it would turn into something, and I still think it will, as maybe as I get older, that I can go back into working on that. So it'd be like a nonprofit. That's why I had the .org on there. I
Okay.
wanted it to be like a nonprofit um, label.
There's a guy in California that I am acquainted with. He's been on the podcast. Been a while since I've talked to him. His name is Kid Anderson.
I've
He
heard his name. I
he's
don't.
from
Yeah.
Norway. He's a superb musician. He's very versatile, but he's very immersed in the blues scene. But his studio is called Greaseland Studios. He's won some awards for his production, and it's a home studio. Um, they did so. Greaseland is his thing. It's not a nonprofit, but they did this project that I'm sure you could read about. Their goal was to bring to light some blues music by guys who just, weren't otherwise going to be recorded, quite
Mhm.
possibly. And anyway, it might be kind of interesting to look at. I think it's called the Little Village
Little
Foundation
Village.
or Little Village Project, and it's so Little Village Foundation and Greaseland Studios and Kid Anderson. Those three things will probably help you find it if you're ever interested. And I seem to recall they had, someone that championed um, this, kind of getting it going and some of the finances and stuff. And yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of detail in the story of um, how it emerged and did what it did, but it might be kind of interesting given what you were hoping you'd do with yours.
I will definitely look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is exactly what, like in my life, I've just known probably hundreds of musicians, and there's a few of them. Well, I'll say a few every 4 or 5 years that I get to know that are just they're making such beautiful music, but because of their life circumstances, it could be financial, it could just be kind of some tragedies in their life. They're just unable to ever get past, do all this stuff that we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
with
I mean, it's a
promoting
lot.
them.
It's a
It's
lot
a
just to
lot.
to
Yeah.
fucking release a song, much less,
Good God. I know, man. It's like it takes like an incredible amount of energy, not just to make the music, but to put it out there in the world in a proper way. And so that's what I'm definitely will look into this because that's where my heart is like, I would just love to be able to help somebody that wouldn't have another way to just get a little spotlight on their music.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe there's something in there. Kid is Kid Anderson himself, uh, I believe he's really just he's a musician and a studio engineer at heart. But there were there must have been, I think there was somebody else and maybe a couple of people who were very involved in helping that project come to life. and they picked Kid Anderson in his studio to do the
Mm,
things to make him get recorded. But yeah, maybe there's something there.
yeah.
Be cool. Well, I'll keep
Yeah.
my eyes open. It sounds like such an interesting
Yeah.
idea. So if I ever think of anything else or anyone that maybe it'd be worth talking to.
Can I tell you one little story around that? Because you made me think of that.
Yeah.
Because it does take, it would for me for sure take other people helping. But I had this was all based on he's he was older than me, probably 15 years older than me, but he was a musician when I was young, just in our local area, in our family circle, that inspired me all through my life to want to play music. And his name was Peter Salico. He passed away around the time created this label and or where I got the idea for this. And one of the things he did in his later life is he would call me after he was on my email list. And every time I sent out an email, he would either just write back or he would call me and he'd go, Ezra, keep going, keep going. And it almost makes me want to tear up because it can get so difficult, especially I mean, I know you know this and everybody does when you've worked so hard and you're just trying to put that out there into the world and there's just disappointments. Nobody streams it, nobody loads it. I would get this call from him, a voice message or a text or something, and all it would say is keep going. And and that's really the dream I had was just something that says that and gives a little bit of something to help somebody go a few more miles, on their musical venture. I just always remember that how much that meant to me. Just, people can say nice things, but to have somebody that he knew what I was feeling, facing the world with my guitar, just like he had, and that we need encouragement just to keep going because there comes so many times. I have a friend named Paco Estrada who's on this album also, and he's a, lifelong musician, working musician. And this is something we've talked about on a podcast that we did on YouTube. Just how, because I was asking, do you ever have times where you want to put it down? And he goes, every month. I want to give up and put it down, and put the guitar down. And, I just think about those conversations with him of just, we're all kind of going through those doubts and everything. And we need this encouragement, to keep working towards our dream because the world needs real human music. It doesn't need AI music. It needs human music.
So true. You're reminding me I'd written about it not terribly long ago, but I've experienced it. I've heard stories kind of like yours from others, but there's nothing like having somebody who believes in you and champions what you're doing and supports you, and that comes in so many different forms. And sometimes it's somebody who can make a huge difference just with their words. Sometimes it's somebody who can do that plus more, maybe money or something. And sometimes it's just somebody that, you know, helps make it happen in a very minor way, but gets things started. It's so important, to
Oh,
have that
so
believers.
yeah,
Yeah. So
there's always been those people in my life. Yeah.
so it's, I'm not sure you're going to have a great answer for this because you had sort of a interruption as we were talking about, but we talked about you trying to share with Cozy like everything you had, for business in music, like the business side of it, so she could have a leg up. What would you say are, or maybe are still to be, the most important lessons you'll focus on or have focused on with her? And for those who are listening, so there's a past conversation on the podcast with you and Cozy to put it in perspective. And she's your younger daughter, and she was kind of getting started in a more serious fashion with the project you guys had, Cozy and a Flounder. So now she's a little older, but yeah, what what uh
Yeah.
what do you have to tell me?
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, strangely enough, I think she's using everything we learned in music in her because she's a Pilates instructor and she decided she wanted to do that. and she went out and got certified. She's like about to be a level 3. I don't know what all that means, but I know she's spent a year certifying. And I think she took that from music because music, what we learned together is to face our fears, I think. Because when she started with me on stage, I think she was 11 or, well, probably 12. 12 or 13 was her first show with me.
Wow.
And we've played festivals, we've, won awards, we've like traveled and played, for big rooms. And the biggest thing I think she's taken away is to not take herself too serious because all of us mess up and say the wrong thing. So you kind of have to have a sense of humor. And the second is your fear is actually probably a compass telling you where you need to go. It's pointing away from where you need to go. And I think now in our conversations a lot that she will identify fear that she's having and how she's walking towards it instead of away from it. And so when I think of music, we man, I got to tell you, our first time making an album with her, it was actually not Cozy and Flounder. It's my album called The Family Songbook, and she was
Right.
11,
Right.
and she was
Okay.
singing on that,
It was amazing.
and it was a studio full of tears because it was the first time she heard her voice on tape, and I don't know if you remember that experience, but it's horrifying. She was convinced that she sounded like she thought she did in the shower. And we worked for like a year with her in my studio, really just getting over her fears of, because you have to be a little vulnerable when you're singing and when you're working with somebody, you hit bad notes. And so kind of her vulnerability
It's not just
of being,
me.
right. I feel that way too. But I just remember times on that studio floor, she would just go on the floor and just start crying. It's like, I can't do it. And so there's like this long lineage of us facing our fears, and she's helped me face some of mine too. So I would say that's the biggest thing is don't take your if you're afraid of something now, if it's a snake, then that's probably good. But if there's a fear in your life, you question whether you should walk towards it instead of away from it, and that it's actually kind of calling you towards something, you know, bigger in yourself. And I hope I taught her that, and I kind of see her utilizing that.
That's amazing. She's probably utilizing this stuff in her painting as well, or will.
Yeah, she does. And I just love my wife Hallie's an artist too. And
Okay.
so I have this family, and my son's a writer. So I love there's nothing I love more than what we're doing right here is just talking about art and music. And so we're always talking about this, about art and her painting and different things she's experiencing and trying to get over. And, you know, so I really cherish that relationship.
I was thinking early in the conversation and just now again too, I would like to talk to Cozy again.
Well, yeah, what can I'm sure she'd be glad to talk. We're starting back up. We have a house concert next in a few weeks, and then
Cool.
we're starting to play again. So she's down.
That's
She's
cool.
back. She's certified in her Pilates, and now she can come back
Married, certified, and
and ready to rock and roll.
that's great. What are you guys doing special for the house concert? And I'm asking because I'm playing one. It's a bit of a, I want to call it a hybrid. It's not really, but it's not super traditional in terms of a house concert, but there are going to be three acts there.
Wow.
One solo, one small ensemble that sounds really big, and then I'm gonna do an acoustic thing in an acoustic trio, and so I'll be singing and playing a little cajon and a little guitar. I don't know, I have a guitar, some bass player with me, but yeah. So like, what kinds of things? I'm really interested to know if you're doing things that, well, A, for the show itself to try and have like good impact, whether it's visual or sonically or both, and also like things to help grow your audience afterwards.
Man, I've learned so much about house concerts. First of all, I just love them so much. It's
Hmm.
almost like it's a step down to go into a venue now because of the just how great they can be. And they can also not be great. The biggest thing I picked up, and I wish I knew her name. I read a book from a girl.
Shannon Curtis.
I believe that's her. Yeah. who wrote about house. Okay, good. So I don't
No,
have.
no bartender, no booker, something like that.
Yeah, I picked up something from her, and I don't know if it was directly from her or just kind of thought about it while reading her book. But the biggest thing I've found is to make sure people do something that makes it feel like this is an event and it's not a house party. And the best way to do that is to do ticket donations at the door or even, donations for tickets, but some way of ticketing it. And the second thing is to have seating already planned out because uh, the first thing gets them into a mindset of I'm going to an event. I'm not going to someone's house to, drink in the corner. The second one of having your seating figured out beforehand is to set it up kind of like an event because, and also think of your space that there's not a lot of places to escape. Because the ones that I've done like this, and we really thought about, how do we set out chairs and how do we not allow places to escape or where it's uncomfortable to escape, is that people will escape. Nobody wants to sit on those front rows. Everybody wants to get as far away as possible, except your mama, and they will do it if there's not some kind of thought into how the seating goes. And I'll add a third thing is that I always have I usually like the host to do it, not me, but just to prepare everybody, like, hey, this is a house concert. I don't know if you've been to one. It's a little bit different. It's a listening room, so we're not talking. Turn off your phones. Let's experience this music in a room together and kind of set it up that this is a little bit different. If you need to go to the bathroom, then go this way. Tell them all the things. Those three things, though, I think set up a good house concert.
Yeah, the best I can vouch for it. The best ones I've done have been where it's very controlled in all these ways. This one will be, although I'll have an opportunity to help the host try and make it a little more like this. I'm glad that we're talking about it, but this one's a little bit looser than that.
Mm.
But they go well still. But it is all the more special when it's like a true listening room.
Yeah, and they can be great, otherwise, but there is, if you've had it, there's a moment you have with a group of people in that really intimate space that once people that host a house concert with me, once they've experienced that, they want that again because it's very special. And, you know, the other one, if it gets too loose, it can still be fun. It's just a different kind of fun.
Hmm. Yep. This and I've done one at this person's home before, and they've been successful. But I did one in Panama, and the host was very like dedicated to try and execute, if I can use that word, in a
Yeah.
way like we're describing here. And she did a great job. And she even looked back on it and go, if I was doing it again, or if I do it again, I'll make sure. And it was basically about the whole escape paths.
Right.
and, and
That's the big deal. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, she would have changed that, but otherwise she, did it flawlessly, and it was great. It was really great.
Yeah, that's interesting because I do find that if I can, that I think, what was the girl's name that wrote the book again? I
Shannon
forget.
Curtis.
Yeah. So I think she suggested this too, is where you have something written out that kind of gives it to the host.
Yep.
Uh, but once they've done it, they themselves take over and want that. And I haven't, the ones that I go back to, I don't really have to be a part of that anymore because they're very aware
They're
and they
seasoned.
almost, yeah, they're seasoned and they know a little even more than I do about how to get their audience into a space that's going to work well.
I just thought of this, but probably everyone's, like every host has a unique audience and a sort of a unique way of, kind of managing, for lack of a better word, or making the event the best it can be for the artist and for the audience.
Yeah, and you got
Probably
to be
varies.
kind of you got to be kind of loose with that because I've had hosts where the ticketing thing was just not they didn't feel right. It's their neighbors and stuff. And that's fine. It's just kind of if you do like, one of these things well, then you have a great chance that it's going to be
I'm going
that
to tell you
special.
something that this guy does. He didn't do the first time, but he was at a normal gig, and they did this because it was a donation gig, so it was
Mhm.
normal in the respect that it was at a like a normal venue, normal-ish. But he gives these little tiny miniature manila envelopes. It looks like a miniature legal envelope.
Mhm.
Not like letter size, but like it might hold contracts or something. It's like a wee tiny thing that you might can put a post-it note in or something. So he gives
Yeah.
everyone one of those to make their donations um, throughout or at the end of the show, and
Oh,
it seemed to work really well. He somehow, I don't know if it was just like some sense of anonymity as far as what you were giving, or if it was
ah,
like maybe a reminder that, oh yeah, we're doing this donation thing.
that is very good. Yeah, because a bucket going around, everybody's watching, and yeah, it removes some of the pressure of it, because you could just throw that thing away. You know,
Yeah, and he,
that's okay.
I know Shannon had said she's very specific in the book about to like have a she calls it a vessel. Have a vessel like at the stage, near the stage that everyone walks up to.
Yeah,
And so he does that too, but everyone walks up, has their little envelopes, and and like I feel like Shannon also said, she's like, we don't want people to not come enjoy the music because of money, so it's basically, give what you can,
yeah,
and that seems
yeah,
to work.
definitely. That's always the spirit of it. There is. I did this for a while. I haven't done it recently, but for a couple of years, all of my merch was donation only. You just donate whatever you can. I just would rather, well, I'll say not all my merch, not my t-shirts, but all of my CDs were donation, and just donate what you can. I'd rather you have it. If you don't have any cash, I'd rather you just take one and have it than not get one because you don't have $10 and man, it was crazy. I was I was like tripled my income from this because some people would just take one, and then some people would drop $1, and then some people would drop 100 in there, and some people would drop 200. It was really crazy how much more money came from just offering it for free, or for whatever they feel like it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
People have that conscience in them anyways. I don't do it now because I try to keep track of what I'm selling and for business reasons, but it does work.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and I think that's another one of Shannon's philosophies. Like they took down the like recommended donation and just left it at give what you can, and they started doing a lot better. I hadn't talked to her in a long time, but I think she still does that like album every year and goes out and does the house concert thing.
That was a great little book. I that book I never had done a house concert before that book, and since then I don't know how many I've done, and I have ones that are now like little festivals, that I have to hit every year,
That's awesome.
and so
It's kind of a weird concept down here, I think. I don't know if weird's the right word, but it's just um, a cultural concept they're not acquainted with. So I have a bit of uphill to
yeah.
with it, but yeah, I think
I
it'll come
think
around.
it's kind of in the zeitgeist up here. Like people know, they kind of know what it is now,
Yeah, totally,
or at least a listening room. They'll know what that is.
totally. Well, I know I could keep you for another hour, but I think we probably went longer than I normally plan to, and I actually have a lot of other questions, so maybe we can do another one.
Yeah, I'd love to, man. I really enjoy this. So, yeah,
Good. I'm glad. It's always really fun to catch up with you. And I was talking to somebody, or maybe I was listening to somebody talking about these relationships, and like you wish you stayed in more contact.
mm,
But hey, I'll take the reconnections anytime, any way I can get them. So
absolutely.
I'm glad that your new single caught my attention. And I wish you all the luck in the world with the new album. I'm gonna watch for the next live thing. I think it'll be a fun experience to just like I'm all real curious how it works for you and how you do it, and I think other musicians will be too. So I'll try and help spread the word. And I would like to talk to Cozy too. Maybe you can put a bug in her ear and see if she's up for it, and we can talk. Sounds like she's got
Absolutely.
some interesting things going on.
I will let her know.
Cool, man. Well, as per usual, I will talk to you again, and yeah, maybe we'll set up another hour sometime.
I would love it. Just
Thanks,
let me
man.
know.
You got it. Thanks a lot. As an independent podcaster, your support means the world to me. You could even say I depend on it. With that in mind, here are some things you can do to help support us. Follow us on your favorite podcast app. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Or shoot me a review by email, robonzo@unstarvingmusician.com, that I can use on the website. Or just share this episode with a friend. This makes a huge impact on our audience growth. You could also visit our crowd sponsor page at unstarvingmusician.com/crowd sponsor to learn of the many other ways of supporting the podcast, including a quick and easy online tip jar. It's like click, tip, done, easy, and super appreciated. You'll find many ways of showing your support there, including through our affiliate partners like Bandzoogle, Kit, Email, formerly ConvertKit, DreamHost, and others. The music you're hearing is New Gods Part 2, the instrumental mix by yours truly. You can hear the full version, download it, or buy it at robonzo.com. And if all this was too much to remember or process, just go to the show notes for this episode at unstarvingmusician.com to find links to all the stuff talked about in this episode. You can leave us feedback, questions, comments, complaints at unstarvingmusician.com/feedback. Thanks for listening. Peace, gratitude, and a whole lot of love.